really stuffy sinuses and my throat is really sore. Every cough feels like death and pain. It feels like someone hit me in the face with a puffer fish. And then my face caught the puffer fish's puff. And now, normally I would take a day off and just lay here. But today is the one day of this Florida trip that I have made pre-made, scheduled plans. So, we're back in Florida. Okay, I'm up. So this morning, I'm on my way to Ripley's. Florida has taken quite a toll on my hat here. But luckily, I brought a spare. Brand new hat. So fresh. The R stands for adventure. I think this one might be a little crooked.
Okay, here we are. I probably should have been more clear, by the way. A lot of you are familiar with Ripley's Believe It or Not.
Well, we're not actually going to a Ripley's Believe It or Not location. Nowadays, they have all these tourist attractions full of all kinds of crazy exhibits. Well, today we get to visit where the exhibits live when they're not on display at the Ripley's offices. And I have literally no idea what to expect, so here we are. Ripley's. Here we go.
Justin, I'm Edward.
Nice to meet you.
This is Edward Meyer, the chief cook and bottle washer of Ripley's.
Robert Ripley, newspaper cartoonist. Born 1890, Santa Rosa, California. Moved to San Francisco, worked in San Francisco for 2 or 3 years. Was convinced by several people to go east, young man. Goes to New York in 1913. Draws his first Believe It or Not cartoon in 1918, starts traveling in the 1920s, produces his first book in 1929. The book is such a success that he's hired by William Randolph Hearst. With Hearst's money, Ripley's able to travel all over the world. He starts collecting artifacts that become the basis of our auditoriums. He starts a weekly radio show. He gets into movies. He does a lecture tour. By 1936, he's the most popular man in America. And that basically goes to the rest of his life. 1949, he gets into television, actually has a heart attack, doing live filming on TV, dies in the hospital in 1949. The first permanent Ripley Museum, there had been temporary ones, but the first permanent museum starts in 1950, the year after he died.
This is one of Robert Ripley's original cartoons from when did you say?
1919. And the key thing here is that this was not published in the newspaper. This is a personal drawing reflecting the death of Tex Ricker and Ripley's association with him.
So Edward here started with the company, what did you say, 30 some odd years ago?
38 and a half years ago.
As an archivist, just for the cartoons, the old cartoons.
Cataloger. Wasn't even the archivist at that time.
And then got promoted and promoted until he has the best job in the world, buying stuff for Ripley's. Stuff like this. So basically for the last several decades, you've been the Robert Ripley of Ripley's.
I love it when other people say that, but I probably shouldn't say it myself. This is pretty much what it looks like all the time. It might be
it's like my bedroom.
Is medicinal whiskey from Prohibition. It has a great label telling you, you can't go out and buy this without a doctor saying you can, and you're gonna be, rot in hell if you drink it, and you're drinking just because you like whiskey and not because you're sick.
So there's Robert Ripley's boat, Robert Ripley's ink bottle, and a meteorite.
And then down below, you've got an autographed picture of Jack Palance, who was our TV host for our most successful and famous TV show from 1980 through 1984. And my number 811 Marilyn Christie's auction paddle. Marilyn Monroe auction was one of the biggest auctions in history back in 1999. And on that day, I spent almost $2 million on dresses and ladies' underwear, and it was a big, exciting day in my life. So I've kept my paddle, is what they call it at an auction house. That's my Marilyn paddle.
So you've bought Marilyn Monroe's underwear?
I have. Well, on this wall behind me. And back in 2001, I even got to do a American tour with the world's largest cookie. Okay, I've got slightly top billing over the cookie, but it's all about the cookie when it comes right down to it.
That's a $10 trillion bill from where?
Zimbabwe, Africa.
Wow. So you're the richest man in the world.
Yeah, I can buy a loaf of bread with that one. That's about it.
He even has a penguin named after him. That's amazing. What are the little hats over here?
Little hat. Oh, I was down here. I was going to show you. Little hats are from the actual Brown Derby restaurant. Famous.
Really?
In Beverly Hills, California. I bought these. These weren't given to me, but in the 30s, these were given to people that dined and spent X number of dollars at the Brown Derby.
I didn't know they gave away hats.
And so you get your own Brown Derby. And they're pretty cool, you know?
So when is this? This is
1909 San Francisco.
Oh, wow.
And this is literally his first week of work. September of 1909. We've got four out of the 5 days that he was drawing. You know, and at that point, newspapers didn't have photographers on staff. They had illustrators. You know, and you drew what the editor told you to do.
And that stuff's just in his office.
Just without knowing what it was.
Oh, that's the Olympic torch. Holding the Olympic torch. I knew this day would come. There's Muhammad Ali there. And a raptor made out of sunflower seeds.
Sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds, Cuban black beans.
You gotta be careful not to put this outside or the birds will get it.
Yes, they probably would attack it, but it'll kill them because it's all put together with a thing called Mugop or something that is kind of toxic.
Ooh, a raptor built of poison sunflower seeds.
Hornets and wasps. This is all paper wasp nest.
The whole thing, even the trunk?
The whole thing, the trunk. It's all done like paper mache from paper wasp nest.
This is not something I thought I would see today, or ever. That's a real human head.
Approximately 100 years old, from Ecuador, South America.
That's amazing. It's so small. So you have to work in front of the human head every day, huh? Wow.
Boy George, made out of cassette tape. 11 of the 19 people that have thrown perfect games. You know, if you think about baseball's been around 120 years, each team plays 160 games, you know, 32 teams, you do the math, thousands and thousands of games. There's only been 19 perfect ones. And Don Larson on the sweet spot is the only one that threw a perfect game in a World Series game back in 1956.
That's amazing.
This is from 1925, and Ripley apparently had a bad dream after eating a whole bunch of Chinese food and dreamt that the Chinese were walking around the world over top of him and that there were so many Chinese that there would never end. It would be an endless line. Now, mathematically, it probably wasn't true then, but it might be true today. But this, for whatever reason, was one of Ripley's favorites. Almost every interview with Ripley, he talks about this cartoon. So we know he liked that one. One below is probably the single most influential in his career. It really creates the writing style that he became famous for. Charles Lindbergh was one of the most famous Americans, greatly celebrated, loved, first guy to fly solo across the Atlantic Ocean. Well, about a week after he did it, Ripley says, "What's the big deal? Lindbergh was the 67th man to fly across the Atlantic Ocean." And people literally are calling him the world's biggest liar. They're screaming at him. They hate him. You know, how dare you insult our national hero? Well, the fact is that nowhere does the word solo appear. So he's only telling part of the story, and he's absolutely true. 66 guys have gone across in dirigibles. So he was the 67th man. He was the first to fly solo, but Ripley didn't say solo. So, you know, he's telling the truth by only telling part of the story. And that becomes the hallmark of his writing style. You know, it deliberately baits his audience to go, I don't believe it, by only telling part of the story. November 3rd, 1929, Ripley insults everybody's intelligence by saying America has no national anthem. Now, people were just horrified. We sang it last night at the baseball game. You know, my kids sing it in school. Of course we have a national anthem. Well, it had never been rubber stamped by Congress. So everybody's singing it, everybody thinks it's the national anthem, but officially it isn't. Ripley's not lying. It isn't the national anthem until it's passed by Congress. He goes on his radio station, his radio show, and he says, stop writing me letters, stop calling me a liar. Here's the truth, here's the story. If you want to do something about it, write to your congressman. 3 months later, we have a national anthem.
All these original Ripley drawings. That's amazing.
The ship is a particularly great picture. None of it would have happened if he wasn't a great artist in the first place.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. This is great.
There's other illustrators. Every newspaper,
that's great right there.
Every newspaper had an illustrator, but if you hadn't have been the best illustrator, the opportunities that came wouldn't have happened. There's some other samples of third-party licensing, playing cards, calendars, lottery tickets, vegetables.
Wow.
This has taken roughly 4,000 photos of Ripley, every book we've ever made, every TV show, and then most importantly, every cartoon all the way back to 1909. All right,
that's amazing. It's not only amazing that you have all of it, it's amazing that it all fits in one room.
And, you know, each one of these has the letters, the photographs, the research that went into the drawing. Yeah.
Jack Palance sat here. He was in the Batman movie, you know, so I always think of him.
Jack Palance was, he was Scarface, was it, in Batman?
He was the mob boss, Carl Grissom.
But he, all 4 seasons and 2 pilots of our show in the 80s. Jack was a great actor, a fairly good career in the 50s and 60s, then disappeared in the 70s. We revived his career in the 80s, and then, you know, he went on to do City Slickers and Batman and a few other films in the late 80s, early 90s, and eventually won an Oscar even.
I get to sit in Jack Palance's chair. Get me Lieutenant Eckhart. There's a secret vault.
I want to show you Egyptian mummies.
What?
But I would prefer if you only filmed what I show you.
Okay.
Don't ask what I'm not showing you.
Okay. Okay.
The very first camera had ever come in here.
Okay.
This is a cat, and I'm gonna pick him up, and a bit of his linen's gonna fall off because it's super fragile. But there you see his head and his ears.
What?
And then this is a falcon, and then there's an ibis back there, and all 3 of these are representative of Egyptian gods. The cat is Bast, the falcon is Horus, and Ibis is Thoth, 3 of the most important gods in Egyptian history. That's an X-ray of inside that Egyptian falcon.
That's crazy.
And then there's one of the Ibis, and see, this is the wings, here's the neck, and there's the bird beak, the long curved beak of the Ibis god Thoth.
Didn't you say one of them was confiscated once because a bird flew or something?
Yeah, this was it wasn't
one of these?
It wasn't as good as this one, but it was a falcon, Horus god. And we haven't lost too many things to customs because I usually can talk my way out of it. But trying to get it into Germany for a book fair, and at the time the Asian bird flu was, you know, on front page news everywhere, and they confiscated a 4,000-year-old bird because falcons were one of the birds that were, you know, diseased. And I couldn't talk my way out of it. They took my mummy.
That's a believe it or not in and of itself. They took my mummy.
And this is a mummified human hand.
What in the world?
All right, so roughly 4,000 years old. To my right are Ripley's diaries.
Robert
and a lot
Ripley's
of it corresponds
diaries?
to the cartoons. You know, he draws a cartoon about the Great Pyramids. We can find out exactly what day he was at the Great Pyramids.
That's amazing.
Autograph flag flown to the moon on Apollo 15. Taj Mahal, carved from pencils.
Right in here with the mummies.
This is Joe Fraser's jockstrap from the Rumble in the Jungle with Muhammad Ali. You are seeing it for the first time on film today, size extra large.
Oh, no.
Joe Fraser. I've even bought somebody's smelly jockstrap.
That is something, I'll be honest with you, I never thought I'd see that.
Me neither. This is a collection of 60 pinhead paintings. This year, like Ripley, I do one big traveling excursion every year to buy exhibits. And this year I went to Colombia, South America, And the best thing I found in Colombia was this collection, 60 miniature paintings.
Do they have to look through a microscope while they paint it? Okay, okay.
And that's how you got to display it too. Okay, so if our guy in San Francisco sees woolly mammoth hair, you know, I might get on the phone and say, Ian, buy the woolly mammoth hair. Or I might just do the deal myself.
So all those auditoriums that all these people have visited over all the years, a large portion of the stuff that's in them that people have seen, you had your hand on in some way.
Absolutely. Now you see the warehouse.
The warehouse? I was going to ask you if we were going to see the Ark of the Covenant in here, and then I realized if anyone would find the Ark of the Covenant, it would be you.
Well, I've been to Ethiopia. I've been outside of the church that claims to have the Ark of the Covenant in it. We filmed it for one of our TV segments, but they wouldn't let us go in and actually see it.
Tell me you tried to buy it anyway.
I wish I could say I tried to buy the Ark of the Covenant, but we just wanted to film it. I don't think I had the money, even if it was for sale. But
So this is the Ripley's warehouse.
This is the Ripley warehouse that looks an awful lot like the shot from the Raiders of the Lost Ark. What I'd like you to see from up here is this chicken and this cow.
Okay.
And we're going to see a couple others like it, but they are African fantasy coffins from Ghana, Africa. If you're a cow farmer, you get buried in a coffin shaped like a cow. If you're a chicken farmer, you get buried in a coffin shaped like a chicken.
They're gonna bury me in a camera-shaped coffin.
They might. We got a Coca-Cola bottle, we got a pineapple, we got whatever your occupation is. My favorite's a lobster fisherman. We got a lobster coffin. Your coffin may be shaped like your occupation.
What the heck? This is the lobster coffin? You want me to go inside the lobster?
I want you inside the lobster coffin for an experience you've never had before.
Ooh.
Oh, I don't fit. I'm laying inside of a lobster coffin.
I always had a feeling it would end this way. Ooh. Whoever this fisherman was a very small guy. Oh no. Oh no. So this is how it ends.
So basically, you got big stuff downstairs, little stuff upstairs. You know, that is now the fourth locked area you've got to walk through.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's a high measure of security up here.
You're getting the special treatment.
I feel like any second we're gonna get in trouble for being in here. The two-headed tortoise. Whoa.
100% real. If it's in our museums, if it's in our books, believe it. It's true. It's real.
I've always wondered that. I always wondered if you made them as
two-headed
examples.
cows is a question. There's a good one over here. Typically, you know, the taxidermist, you know, has a skin to work with. There's no room for mistake. But sometimes you see the seam. So people go, oh, it's got to be fake. They just sewed it together. But that's what taxidermy is. You're sewing a skin onto a framework. But the good taxidermist will be able to do it without making the seams so prevalent, and you can see that it's really a two-headed cow. You can pet them.
I can pet the two-headed. That's weird.
1/3 of our collection is in this building. There's over 10,000 objects in here right now. Everything from, you know,
two-headed cows,
South Sea Island voodoo dolls, to medieval torture, to ancestor skulls, to shrunken heads, to two-headed cows. It's all here.
These are real
this black
skulls.
one here with the ebony in it. This is mother of pearl. This is from the Solomon Islands. You got a extended skull from ancient Peru. These are cannibal skulls from Borneo that have been engraved. They break off the lower jaw, put their hand up in order to get the brain to eat, so, you know, cannibal skulls don't have bottom jaws to them. A fine collection of penis sheaths. One size does not fit all.
Oh no.
They come in every size and shape under the sun.
Can I touch the skull?
Yeah.
Oh, that's weird. These are those so these are the ones from Peru that they get extended that people think are they're aliens. They're alien.
Yeah, the ones that they think are aliens are really extended. They're from one particular area, but everybody did it. And this has been bound here, creates a nub on this side, and this side ends up going long instead of round. If you notice right beside it what it really should
That's amazing. Look how many how haunted is this building?
We've had several Ghostbuster type guys come up here, and Shrunken Heads send their meters right off the edge, but a lot of the rest, no sign. So, you know, things like ancestor skulls didn't seem to be haunted as such, at least according to the ghost guys, but Shrunken Heads, they got bad mojo.
You would think it'd be the medieval torture stuff would have the worst mojo.
Well, we no longer have an Iron Maiden in the building, but the Iron Maiden was another one that had bad mojo.
That's a real chastity belt?
There's 5 or 6 of them around here.
That is,
you know,
that is terrifying.
All right, that's the way it goes. But you can see with the business end of it.
Oh no. Oh, Hannibal Lecter's stuff is in here too.
Golds, bridles. Commonly called a man catcher, but also known as a witch catcher. This is in the belief that if you touch the witch, she's going to curse you, but as long as you don't touch her, drag her like this. All right, now, as long as she behaves, you're okay, right?
Right.
It just looks silly.
Yep.
But if you move, those tongs can come out and slice your throat out. Right? So she's got to behave, or she's going to have those stab her as she's being dragged. These are usually slightly different, but it's always the same message. You're comfortable if you don't resist. You resist, you're going to get your throat pierced. This is probably a little what I would call typical. This is a very rare antique. There's probably not too many places other than Ripley's where you'll find one. But the ingredients are normally the same thing. You get a crucifix, you get a gun, you get silver bullets, you get garlic, you get holy water, you get a stake through the heart. That's the contents. The packaging depends on your wealth. These are a custom-made thing for Americans going to Transylvania. You're going to go to vampire country, you better take a vampire killing kit with you. So most of them are, you know, nice wood boxes that the average person wouldn't know what was inside, and it's easily carried. Depending on your wealth, you may have, you know, gold monograms on it, you know, you may have fancy locks, whatever. But my favorite is one that's shaped like a book about vampires. So it sits on your bookshelf and nobody has any idea that inside you've got your ivory crucifix, your stake through the heart, I'm coming at you.
So these are real?
These are real.
They actually sold these. Did people think they were going to work?
Absolutely. You don't see any vampires around here.
So everything is real.
Everything is real.
Straight from the horse's mouth. It's all actually real.
Absolutely. My seal, my name is on that to guarantee it.
And if it isn't,
we display it as a fake.
Okay.
The class example being the Fiji Island mermaid, which P.T. Barnum said was real. Robert Ripley was the first guy to say, bullshit, it's a fish attached to a monkey. Okay? So when we display a Fiji Island mermaid, typically we'll have it beside something like a two-headed cow.
Right.
And we'll ask the patron which one of these isn't real.
Gotcha.
And then give them the answer.
I always wondered. Okay. Now downstairs. This is where you keep the big stuff.
Big stuff. No matter where anything comes from, wherever we're buying it, it comes here to be cataloged.
Okay.
You know, remember what I was hired to do.
Right, right.
So everything comes to Orlando, Florida first before it goes to any of our locations. All the way from Thailand.
Made out of car tires.
The Harvey Oswald's bedroom furniture.
What?
One of the most important historical pieces we have from the apartment where the murder, the assassination was planned.
Literally.
We got his bed, his dresser drawers, his lamppost, his garbage can even.
That's amazing. And the signage.
Cinderella's pumpkin carriage.
Right.
That is a motorboat.
That's a boat?
It goes down the canals of Venice, over there by our gorilla, what is called the trousseau, goes on the back. That's where the motor is.
What?
Wooden horses, which are over here, and it goes down the canals of Venice at Mardi Gras.
That's amazing.
Real horses on it. You can go on the land. Pumpkin.
That's awesome. What is the elephant?
It's a paper mache elephant under it. It's not a real elephant, but it's real elephant armor. Very early 1800s. It's one of only 3 complete sets in the world.
Wait, so that's real elephant armor here,
Real
not a
elephant
replica?
armor from India.
Wow.
The thing on top is called a howdah, That's where your soldiers, your archers, and your spearmen sit, and the elephant is at the head of the army.
Where did you get this? It just occurred to me that you bought this.
I bought it in Staffordshire, England, but it comes from Jaipur, India. My favorite pieces in the whole collection.
That looks like something straight out of Lord of the Rings, you know? It doesn't even look real. That's amazing. That's unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Now you get Ben-Hur. The famous scene
from Ben-Hur?
Famous scene, ramming speed, fighting speed, double speed, all done on boats barely bigger than a canoe. The magic of Hollywood.
That is so cool.
Oprah Winfrey is in the house.
Oprah Winfrey.
10,000 coffee beans.
10,000 coffee beans?
Making up a portrait of Oprah.
Oh, weird.
It's the same, but if you try beside you, you got Clint Eastwood, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, shotgun shell. So, we talked about everything being real.
Yeah.
Well, obviously wax figures aren't real.
Right, right.
But everything else is real.
They're just real scary.
We're going to see our wax department here in a minute, but we make all of our figures here in this building.
What's all this stuff? Molds?
Molds, specifically to make the world's fattest man, that one.
Oh.
There's a guy with a horn in his head.
That is... Oh, there's Sylvester Stallone over there.
Sylvester Stallone. Models back here.
Ooh, Elizabeth Taylor. Hello, Cleopatra.
The genuine jaws of a megalodon shark. We have the teeth are regularly stolen, so we've had to make molds to make replacement teeth. This is the Capitol building in Washington, made from over 1 million slivers of bamboo.
What in
No
the
glue.
world?
They're all threaded through these little holes. Turns red, white, and blue, and does all kinds of magical electronic tricks.
1 million slivers of bamboo. Oh, we're plugging it in. Oh, look at that thing. It's hard to get a sense of scale without a person standing next to it.
It's almost as tall as I am.
That's amazing.
9 feet by 7 feet by 5 feet. Brand new.
Was this one person that built this?
A family.
A family.
6 people, including little kids.
Oh my gosh.
And this has not been displayed yet.
Where's it gonna go first?
Very good question. Probably Baltimore. You know, as close as we can get to the White House.
Leonardo da Vinci's The Last Supper, made from laundry lint. How long is this?
I think it's 14 and a half feet
What the heck?
by 4 foot tall.
What in the world?
You are the first person to see it in our warehouse. It has previously been displayed, but...
That's amazing. At least it's not belly button lint, right? Would have taken longer.
Well, we have a belly button lint collection too. So this is the Sasquatch that our art department made.
So it's a real Bigfoot, right?
You come in behind buffalo, made from oil drums from Kenya, Africa. Life size. Just happens to be standing on a piece of the Berlin Wall.
That's a piece of the Berlin Wall?
This is the real Berlin Wall.
With an African oil drum water buffalo built to life size on it.
Life size.
This could only happen here.
Yeah. This probably shouldn't happen here, but Ferrari Testarossa from Wolf of Wall Street, made out of kitchen floors.
What?
Recycled wood floors. It opens.
That is crazy. And you bought this.
And I bought this.
That's so cool. And that's your job.
That's
to
my
buy
job.
this.
America, big alligator gar.
A person made of buttons.
Person made out of buttons.
But no Ark of the Covenant. Eddie Murphy's hanging out over here.
So,
this is
everything
crazy.
we've seen now
Yeah.
is real. Now we go into the land of make-believe.
Okay.
This is our art department, our FX guys that make things to go with our museum exhibits. We have Ripley's Believe It or Not museums, we have Ripley aquariums, we have Ripley haunted houses, we have Louis Tussaud's wax museums. Anything that I would call a prop is made here. And we generically call them wax figures, but some of them are made from fiberglass, some of them are made from foam, and some of them are, you know, real. Robert Ripley here. Some of them aren't real. Creature from the Black Lagoon. Braveheart there.
Look at Braveheart. They may take our arms, but they'll never take our freedom. So there's Robert Ripley next to old Blue Eyes. So that's what he looked like, huh? Robert Ripley.
bad teeth.
The world's tallest man.
8'11", discovered by Robert Ripley, featured on a Robert Ripley show in 1937. Brought him to New York. Famous bit of film of him up on top of the Empire State Building. Died in 1940, aged 22.
And they've never found anyone taller than him, huh?
Still there's only been about a dozen people over 8 foot, but still the tallest to date at 8'11".
Wow, look at this. That is so cool.
So these are molds for wax figures. We got heads, we got hands, we got legs. Not a place you want to be in the dark by yourself.
Yeah.
But everything we make for both the Ripleys and the Louis Tussauds comes from this office. There's 8 full-time artists.
There's a lot of talent represented in this workshop here.
Absolutely. Some of the most talented people on the face of the earth are working right here.
So cool.
You got
That Robert Wildow's head mold?
That's the head mold.
That's
right there.
amazing.
You saw the head, now you see the mold that goes to it.
Oh.
There's his hands. This
What?
is Maria Cristina, the Mexican vampire woman. A very beginning stage of her, but you can see she's got horns in her head. She's got some real long fingernails. She's got implants in several different spots of her body. What you don't see here is her 4-foot-long dreadlocks and the fact that almost every inch of her is covered in tattoos. Jennifer Lopez is in the house.
Oh no, who do we have over here?
Well, we have...
What a likeness. That's great.
Just in case he gets elected.
That is so scary. Dude, look at all of this stuff. You see all that weird stuff and you forget that it's real people who have to put that stuff together.
He's got crocodile teeth, false teeth made from actual crocodile teeth. Tycho Brahe, famous astronomer, lost his nose in a fencing duel, replaced it with a piece of gold. There's our Lee Chung, four-eyed man. Thomas Wetters from England with the world's longest nose. This is a tribe in Africa that wore padlocks in their nose. And then this is Wang. And Wang's got a broken horn, but Wang should have a 13-inch horn at the back of his head.
Robert Ripley
as this
met
guy,
him.
And this guy too.
That's crazy.
There's Arnold. Angeli and Arnold.
I'll be back. You have the most interesting, unbelievable job of anyone I've ever met. Literally. That is so awesome. Oh, one last thing inside the boardroom that we have to see.
Very first, believe it or not, cartoon from December 18, 1918. 98 years, the foundation of everything else you've seen so far.
And that's the
The
original.
cornerstone of the company.
Right there. That is unbelievable. That is amazing. Weird.
We got some swag stuff here. You
That's
guys can
awesome.
be twinsies. We got you twinsies
Oh,
shirts.
thank you guys. Whoa, 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 whoa. What the heck is this?
The two-headed bunny.
The two-headed bunny.
And we got a two-headed cow.
I pet one.
Huh?
He let me pet one. I got to pet the two-headed
So
cow.
her 3-year-old, she's had to order 5 of these because he calls them Babin and it won't leave his side. And if you look at any of her,
That's
pictures,
amazing.
So like one is missing a nose and the eyes are kind of scratched up because he's had it forever. But we, just in case he loses it, we need backups.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
So
Wow. Firstly, I don't think I've ever been treated so well by any company ever. And secondly, I don't think I've ever visited any office or any company anywhere that's not only so passionate about their work and the job they do, but so passionate about their own history. My mind is completely blown. I could barely even say anything in there because I was at a loss for words. That's a very rare thing for me. Well, I think it's safe to say that I'm never going to look at Ripley's Believe It or Not the same way. Dude, freaking Florida, man. Not only did they hook us up with the most amazing warehouse tour earlier, they also gave me those bags of swag that I haven't even checked out yet. I was too mind blown when I left there. So freaking cool. Well, they have invited me to come come back and check out the Ripley's Believe It or Not Museum anytime I want. So we are definitely going to be seeing a little bit more Ripley's in the future. But if you want to check out more weird things, go over to their YouTube channel, which I think is just youtube.com/Ripley's, or just search Ripley's Believe It or Not. Go check out their videos. They got a lot of weird stuff over there, and let them know that Justin Scar sent you. Okay, my throat feels like fire and I feel like death, so I'm gonna go back home to the hotel and sleep well. Make sure that you're subscribed so that I can see you all later. Right now there's a crazy storm headed our way, so I'm going to grab some Mountain Dew and go rest. I love you all. I'll see you all later. Bye-bye.
The storm!